so much.
Hello, welcome once again to Rugby Nation. I'm Nick McArdle. Christy Doran is here from Rugby.com.au. We are down to 3 teams in Super Rugby AU. The Brumbies straight into the final. They will meet the winner of the Reds and the Rebels. That game to be played this Saturday. Brisbane gripped by Reds fever. Their halfback Tate McDermott will join us shortly, but someone who loves being in Brisbane when the Reds are playing well, former Queensland fullback Greg Martin. Marto, it is so good to see you. Welcome to Rugby Nation.
Hello, Nick. Haven't seen you for a while. Hi, Christy. This is very exciting.
It is exciting. And is it exciting for you, though, Marto? I mean, you've suffered through a few years now of the Reds' underperformance. It's back to, well, it seems to feel like it's back to sort of, 2011, 2012. It's good times.
The passes are sticking, the skills there, and the best thing for me is the defence is wonderful. There's a spirit there, mate. Brad Thorne, he took a few risks, in the last couple of years, getting rid of Quade, getting rid of James Slipper, clearing the joint out of anyone who didn't want to be here. That set the culture right. And then he brought through all those young guys this year, Harry Wilson and Fraser McRide and Tate last year. Mate, he's got the formula right. The first few weeks I thought, oh no, and then that loss against New South Wales, the Tars, I went, oh, it's all coming apart. But then they played the Rebels. They defended like mongrel dogs. He called it an Origin-like game. And everyone, as you saw the crowd and their performance last weekend, everyone's jumped on the bandwagon again. They're an amazingly fickle bunch, but if you win, the fans want to be involved. And the style of footy, mate, has just been great.
Yeah, lots of excitement about it, no doubt. Marto, did you think the Reds were going to get there? Because it's been 2 pretty lean years leading to this point.
Christy, I was pumped up in February. You know that first game they played against the Brumbies and they went down by, it's a long time ago, 2 points. But all the offloads, remember they kept punching through and I went, righto, that's what they've been working on. They're going to stick to their guns, and they have. And they made a lot of mistakes. They'd get to 4 phases or even they'd avoid phase play, but they were getting to 5 passes, punching through the defence, and they were just falling short. Came back after COVID. They've had a couple of hiccups, mate. They've stuck to their guns. And Brad Thorne says, well, we want to win, but we also want to win with style. Who else said that? Michael Checker. But this seems to be working. So maybe it helps with playing Aussie opposition and the defence may not be as tough, but my God, they're going well, mate. The last 4 weeks has been wonderful. So I think everyone thought, with the young talent coming through, and they've shown it in patches, but in the last few weeks, the Reds are starting to put it together.
Marto, I remember distinctly having a conversation with Jim Mackay pretty soon after he'd come back into the Reds setup. Of course, he was integral to what happened in 2011 there with Ewan McKenzie. Came back in, and it was kind of the last piece of that coaching puzzle. He was the value adding that Brad Thorne kind of couldn't. But I remember him saying that he just shaking his head. This is really early on, and he said, "We're coming from a long way back. They've got a lot to learn." They seem to have learned it. I mean, how important has Jim Mackay been?
Oh, mate, well, you remember in 2010 and 11, he came and he plants the seeds. He's got a wonderful rugby mind, mate, but he's got some super theories on backline play. You'll see how flat they're playing at times, but then they're playing those block plays where they go out the back. They've got their alignment right. Their skills are right. You think from Tate's going to join us soon, but from his passing, it's in front of O'Connor. All the balls are going in front, and that is an enormous thing. If anyone knows anything about Randwick rugby, that is the basic tenet they base it upon. Ball must go in front so your momentum's not impeded in attack. He's brought that and all those passes. Remember, they were going down early in the season. He's corrected that. Their style's wonderful. And O'Connor, I think, remember in 2010 and 11, he gave Quade his head and let him, because he sees things that a lot of other players can't. O'Connor's the same. He's scanning well. Jim Mackay coaches enough. How some blokes overcoach. I think Jim Mackay's coaching enough for letting some smart footballers do their own work. Pattaya, he's letting him have his head. And everyone seems to be responding in that Reds backline to the way Jim Mackay's been coaching. The problem for me would be Peter Ryan. His CV hasn't gone well because they've defended well since he's left. And there's the Broncos. How have they gone since he's gone over there? So poor old Peter Ryan probably picked the wrong place to go.
Just on Jim Mackay, I was speaking to Rod Kafer earlier today, and he said that he thinks that this Reds side at the moment, back in 2010-11 when Mackay was there, was playing as good as rugby, attacking rugby, as Australian rugby has ever produced. And he likened it to the Brumbies of the late 90s, early 2000s. So You're right. We're seeing the attacking structures. And what was really interesting about Mackay was when he did his interview to come back to Queensland Rugby, he brought in a felt mat and had various figurines on the mat that were all going, this is how I'm going to run my attacking structures in Queensland. And it was a unique presentation, but it won them over with his love and just how much experience. This is a guy who's been coaching since the late 90s.
That's great. I hadn't heard that story, Christy. I love, and that sums up Jim Mackay. He's simple but complex in the same motion. But, the other thing is, you know what? The fact that they've got all those forward runners are always making territory, whether it's Harry Wilson and Taniela Tupou. I suppose you describe them as the two main power runner meter eaters who get over the advantage line. That puts so much threat into the defence, creates room. The other thing is Tate McDermott. His threats, whether it's down the blind or having a little dab and then offloading, that pins those inside defenders. You think if you just shovel the ball from halfback and your forward runners aren't threatening, your back line gets swamped by the defence. But they've got enough punch in close to give the outside men plenty of room, and that's what's been happening. By the time, say Kirandrani had to defend it outside centre, he was under enormous pressure because of what had happened inside him. So that's the beauty that often people don't see that on the inside, the threats that are occurring there to the defence that pins them, which creates those one-on-ones. And God, you've seen how they've made the most of it. They've got some super attackers out wide. All through the Reds, there's threats that may not be there if their forwards weren't being so dominant.
You mentioned James O'Connor, and now playing at fly half, and you hark back to 2013 when Robbie Deans put him at fly half during that Lions series, and was heavily criticised for it, and it didn't really pay off, did it? What's changed about James O'Connor? We know, you can say maturity and his outlook on the world, but tell us about his footy. What do you reckon has changed about his rugby?
Oh, there's a maturity. Whatever that journey was, he went up to the Arctic Circle, mate. Whatever happened on that little voyage of his where he found himself, and I think he looked at his rugby mortality, Nick, and he's spoken briefly about it. He had a look and went, I wish Nick Kyrgios might go to the Arctic Circle perhaps. But he looked at it and he went, wow, I was 17 when I started. I may not have anything to show at the end apart from derision from people like me, but geez, I'm a convert, mate. He now has the confidence. He's got his speed back. He was busted when he came back last time. To the Reds. What was that? 4 years ago. Then he went away.
That was an ankle, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a crook ankle.
He wasn't 100, so he couldn't use his full skills. Now he's got his speed back. He's got his confidence. He's making tackles, mate, and he's making big tackles and buying into the team. He was an individual, mate, playing in a team in the old days. Now he is a leader amongst that team. He buys into everything they do. And you see the adulation. You remember back in the early part of his career, you could see that his teammates didn't really want to know too much about him. Even when he scored a try, there was only half-hearted. It's the little things that you look at. But now he is part of it. His maturity, it's taken a while, but his maturity has been probably... That might be one of the major factors, because if you haven't got a 5'8", then Bryce Hegarty's good fill-in, but he hasn't quite got enough of speed, of guile, of vision, whereas O'Connor's got it all. That might be the change, but, gee, loves having... you have Tate McDermott playing like he is inside, and you have Patea and the threats he's got outside. It makes it a lot easier to make good judgments, but he's making them all, plus he's kicking better. He's added another 10 metres to his kicking game, which threatens the opposition. But, mate, I can't speak with enough admiration about the turnaround of James O'Connor.
The other person you could have mentioned there is, we think about the Reds of 2010, 11, 12, Digby Ioane. We've now got Felipe Danguno, who's now starting to get those tackle busts and make those line breaks, and it's a bit of a complete package at the moment. It looks like the Reds. At the same point in time, the Reds in 2011 was the hottest ticket in town. With the Broncos not going quite as well in the NRL, has there been a bit of a change in the Brisbane mindset, Marto?
Well, in terms of sporting, Christy, nobody wants to go to work on a Monday. What'd you do on the weekend in the last 6 or 7 years? I went to the Reds. Oh, you're a loser because you're associated with losers. Oh, I went to the Brisbane Lions. Oh, you're a loser. This year, the Lions have picked up their crowds, mate. They had maximum crowd at the Gabba a few weeks ago because they're playing attractive football and they're winning. You go to work on Monday, and the the gloss and sheen of being associated with winner rubs off. You must be a good person because you made a good decision to go to the Lions. Same with the Reds. Nearly 10,000 people there. I believe they might get close to 15, maybe a few more there on the weekend. We've always said the casual rugby fans are there. They've just been waiting. They've been going out to school rugby. They've been going to club rugby. Now, there's 5,000 people still going to club rugby. And finally, they've gone, oh, the word's got around. The Reds are worth watching. Did you see them last weekend? No. Well, I'll start watching. They watch the next weekend and they see something they like. And Brad Thorne knows that. As he says, they pay money for those tickets. They pay money for the food when they get there. We got to give them something. And finally, they are. They owe them a bit, mate, but they're doing it.
Yep, no, entertaining rugby and winning rugby doesn't get much better than that. Marto, we'll get you to stick around. It seems like a pretty good time to bring in Reds scrum half Tate McDermott. Tate, congratulations on the win over the Brumbies. It is the perfect time to have some form and some momentum.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me. Yeah, like you said, really, really happy with the weekend's result, but we've still got a massive game this weekend, so all eyes are on that from our point of view.
Tate, you're getting plenty of plaudits recently with what you've been doing on the field. Defensively, though, that seems like what's been the real difference in the Queensland Reds side. Individually, you've been making some try-saving tackles, but can you just talk us through what's been going on with the defensive systems at the Reds in recent times?
Yeah, well, I think, it's no secret that Michael Todd's come in and replaced, a lot of the hard work that Peter Ryan did during at the start of the season. So I think Toddy's been massive. No one really knows his name, but he, he's been around for a while as our head analyst, and the work he does behind the scenes. He's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. So I've got a lot of time for Toddy, and so do a lot of the boys. So they really respect all the work he's putting in, and I think it's really, as you said, starting to pay dividends with our defence. I think he's really just stripped it back to basics, making sure that we're making our one-on-ones, and if we don't make them, then someone else is there to help you out. And, you can see a lot of the boys are really hungry and working hard for each other, which is really good to see from my point of view at the back there as a 9.
Hey, Tate, there was a few problems, 7 weeks ago? Your season almost could have imploded because of those line-out problems. I know you don't lurk around too much at training at the line-outs, but what's the secret? Because that was becoming a real issue.
Yeah, it was, and I think obviously it wasn't easy losing the two quality locks that we lost leading up to our first few games. But I think the boys that have come in, Lucan, who's now a full-time second rower, and Blythe as well, and the work that BPA and Murphy and even Josh Nash have been putting in their throwing as well. So yeah, like you said, I don't spend too much time around them, so I couldn't tell you exactly what they've fixed, but I think really just stripping it back. They've chucked in a few slip plays here and there, and I think reducing their numbers in the line out has helped them as well. Because we're a mobile pack, we can move, quite a lot better than some of the other teams. So I think that's contributed a little bit as well.
Tate, what's it like being amongst that group right now? I mean, you've been there for a few years now, so you've tasted some times that haven't been so pleasurable at the Reds. You've copped plenty from outsiders, and I imagine there's been times where you've looked at each other as a group and kind of deep down wondered whether it really was going to happen or not. What's it like to be a part of what's happening at the moment? I know the job's not done yet, but it's going okay.
Yeah, like you said, I think there's, we've been through some tough times. There's no secrets about that. And, I think we always thought it was going to come. And like you said, it hasn't come yet. But, we always hoped, so that's why we show up. We work hard under Thorny, under Jimmy, all the coaches, all the S&C staff. Marshy's come in, done a brilliant job in our strength and conditioning side. So we're fit. And it was kind of just waiting, for a few key players to come in and, the young guys that are in it. You just see players like Liam Wright, who's almost played 50 Super Caps, and he started at the same time as me. So, young players just getting experience under their belt and, finding their feet almost because, like we said, we don't like to play the youth card too often, but there's no secret that we were all pretty young when we first started. Frustrating from a fan's point of view, seeing, weeks and weeks of disappointment, but like you said, massive game this weekend. A lot of the boys are really excited for it. We've never really experienced finals footy. Well, we haven't experienced finals footy. That's the reality of it. So, we're just taking it one step at a time. It's all pretty new to us, but we're ready to rip in, and it's if today's session's anything to go off, we're really fizzing, looking forward to the Rebels matchup.
Tate, I'm going to be greedy and ask it 2 questions here. Firstly, where were you when the Reds had that extraordinary year in 2011 and ended up beating the Crusaders? And secondly, have you spoken, or has the team been spoken to from any of those guys from the class of 2011?
Well, to answer your first question, I was 13 and I was at the back of the stands there watching on when they won it. So I was actually lucky enough to be at the game, which was awesome. Hopefully a crowd like that rolls in this weekend, but we'll see what happens. But we haven't really spoken to the players of 2011. I keep in contact with Willie Gagnon quite a bit, but apart from that, not really, to be honest. I think if circumstances were different with COVID and everything, for sure we'd be calling them in, learning off them. But it's obviously pretty tough at the moment to do that with the restrictions in place.
Hey, Tate, at scrum time, which is strange that I want to talk about it, but you're so convincing. Standing there on a tight head feed, you're standing there watching things. When Nelly hit Scott Seo the other night, there was a lot of whinging after the game from the Brumbies. What's it like? What can you hear? Is there moaning and groaning, or how confident do you feel when it's not your feed?
Yeah, mate. Mate, when you look at Nella there, it's almost a 50-50. When it's their feed, so you're kind of just standing there and you're just watching that work. I don't like scrums either, mate. So
have you got an attacking move ready to go every defensive scrum?
No, but we just sling it. We're waiting for that opportunity, and it's come quite a bit lately. But not exactly.
Is he an absolute pest? I mean, we see shots of him when he goes off after his standard 65, 70 minutes, and he's pretty loose sitting in front of the sideline camera. Is he a pest most of the time?
Oh, mate, he's a massive pest. Between him, Lee Khan, and Harry Wilson, I don't know who takes the cheese there, but you can call him pests and you can call him other things, but mate, they're all the day, every time of the day they're India, regardless of who you are. So, but no, it's good to have them around, mate. They make training enjoyable, and we love them.
It's a serious talk here, Tate, for a second. The Rebels this Saturday, the season doesn't count for too much unless you show up and you get a result. Looking at the 2 games that you've had against the Rebels so far this year, what have you learnt from them? And what do you expect on Saturday night?
Yeah, like you said, kind of last weekend's result against the Brumbies is irrelevant now. This is our grand final because it's do or die. So what we've learnt from the Rebels, they're going to be there for 80 minutes. Then they're always going to show up. We know how hard they are defensively. They back their defence massively. That's why they have so much emphasis on their kicking game. So they've got quality players all across the board. Dan Halapetty returning. Matt Tamua steers the ship there. So, mate, it's going to be a battle. We're up for that, and there's a lot of people working hard in order to stop their big guns out there. So we'll see what happens. But we're not overconfident, but we are really excited for the challenge at hand.
How much work have you done this week on your transition from kick returns? Because Matty Tamura will try to pin you down there. Has that been a focus?
Yeah, massive focus. I think it is for a lot of the games, but like you said, with this game particularly. So today's session was a lot built around that, making sure that our defensive line, when we kick and when we're retreating back is complete across the whole field. So I think it'll be a huge part of this game.
What about Jordan Petaia, Tate? Just his ability with ball in hand, and he seems to be able to just conjure an offload from anywhere. Where you think he's gone in the tackle, there's always this moment where something special happens before he hits the ground. How important has he become to that team, and particularly now that he's playing in 13?
Yeah, Geordie. Everyone knows Geordie's a special player. We love having him. He was a massive part of this team before COVID. And then unfortunately his shoulder happened. But now that he's back, he's a massive part of our team. It's no secret about that. He's one of the hardest people I've ever had to tackle. He doesn't look like he can break. Well, he does now, but just when he strides through contact, like you said, his offloading game, he's a very hard person to mark. And I think that'll be massive coming up against Reece Hodgel or whoever they throw at 13 tonight. So on the weekend. So yeah, mate, we love having Geordie. He's a special player. Like you said, he's got that ability to create absolutely, something out of nothing.
Marto, I'll jump in. You'll probably shake your head at this, Marto. Tate doesn't drink, and that might shock a few people. But Tate, would you have a drink if you make it through to the final and then indeed end up winning the Super Rugby AU trophy?
We'll see what happens, but we've got a lot of work to do between that happening. So I won't give you a definite answer now, Christy. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Tate, so many sports events around the world have been played with no fans this year, which makes it tough. A lot of the sports people I've spoken to makes it tough. But the weekend, 10,000 people there last weekend, 15,000. How good's that for, well, I guess the ego of the players to go, wow, we put in the hard work and finally we were able to show it in front of our fans. Was that good for you last weekend, and how good will it be for you again this weekend?
Yeah, mate, it was brilliant. I don't think anyone expected 10,000 to come out, particularly with all the restrictions in place. So to have that, and hopefully more this weekend, we'll see what happens. But you can really hear it. And I think Nick Berry at one stage couldn't hear the TMO because that's how loud our fans were. So I think you see we're undefeated at home so far. So not that is going to make us complacent or anything, but that's how much we love playing at home in Queensland at Suncorp. So yeah, I guess it's a bit of a plea for any Queenslanders watching this to have that game. So we'll see you there Saturday night, hopefully.
Get there and make plenty of noise if you do. One last one. We are running out of time, but I just want to quickly ask you about Liam Wright. I think when he was named captain, everyone was like, "Oh, that's an interesting choice. Geez, he's only a kid, and what does he know about captaincy?" From the outside looking in, he's been a bit of a revelation. What's it been like to play in a team with him as captain?
Yeah, well, Liam's a really good mate of mine. We started at the same time. So to see him grow we always knew he was going to be a leader. It was just a matter of when. So I think he's come in massively. He's come in and he's been absolutely brilliant for this team. Took over from what all the hard work Samu and Higgins before him were doing, and he's really just taken this side to another level. He's a really smart guy, so he knows exactly what to say and when to say it. And I think that's why players, not only in our team but the other teams, respect him. And I think he's, like I said before, done a really good job, and I think he'll do a really good job this weekend and in the future as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Great job on and off the field. He's a great ambassador for Queensland Rugby. Tate, thanks for giving us some of your time today. Best wishes for the weekend. Marto, great to see you. Good to catch up. You too, Christy. And finally, wherever you are watching around Australia or around the world, thanks for your company on Rugby Nation. I'm Nick McArdle. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.